Tonight, as the sun slowly disappears beyond the buildings outside, you'll probably turn on a light without thinking much about it. The room instantly fills with brightness in a single second, and so familiar that it has almost become a reflex. But here's the strange part. For 99% of human history, that small light switch simply did not exist. When the sun went down, the world truly disappeared into darkness. For more than 300,000 years, every one of your ancestors lived nearly half of their lives in a kind of darkness that modern humans almost never experience anymore. For most of that time, they didn't even have candles. There was only the black sky stretching endlessly above them. Stars bright enough to cover the entire night, and small fires they struggled to keep alive. Because when the fire went out, the darkness outside wasn't just frightening. It could kill you. And yet, the strange thing is this: for hundreds of thousands of years, humans still lived, loved, told stories, reflected, and dreamed inside that darkness. So what did they actually do during all of those long hours after sunset? The answer turns out to be far stranger than most people imagine. Because it doesn't just change the way we think about sleep, it may completely change the way we understand imagination, loneliness, and what it truly meant to become human. Let's begin with fire. Because perhaps no invention in human history has quietly transformed our lives as deeply as it did. The earliest evidence of humans controlling fire was discovered in Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dating back nearly 1 million years. But fire did not simply keep people warm during cold nights. It completely changed the way humans existed on Earth. Before fire, our ancestors lived much like every other primate. When the sun went down, you found shelter, climbed a tree, or stayed still in the darkness, waiting for morning to come. Because moving at night almost meant turning yourself into prey, human eyes are incredibly weak in the dark compared to the predators that once ruled the night. Leopards, hyenas, wolves. All of them could see us far more clearly than we could ever see them. Then fire appeared. Even a small campfire was enough to create a circle of safety in a world filled with predators beyond the light. Inside that glow, humans could finally sit together, talk, and rest without constantly staring into the darkness in fear that something might suddenly emerge and tear them apart. But the thing that truly changed history was not just safety. Fire gave humans something that had barely existed before extra time to live. Before that moment, the human day ended when the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. But fire extended the evening by a few more hours. And it sounds small, almost insignificant. Yet across thousands of generations, those extra hours changed the entire human species, because for the first time in history, humans had time to remain awake after survival was over, to tell stories, to reflect, to imagine, and perhaps it was there, around those small fires beneath the ancient darkness, that the modern human mind first began to take shape. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner published a remarkable study after spending years living among the Jew, Hawanzi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the few remaining communities on Earth still living in a way that closely resembled the lifestyle of our ancient ancestors. And what she discovered revealed something deeply strange about human nature. During the day, most conversations revolved around survival, who was hunting, where, which fruits were ready to gather, small arguments, complaints, food sharing, simple calculations to help the group survive another day. Daylight seemed to keep the human mind anchored tightly to immediate reality. But when night fell and people gathered around the fire, the entire atmosphere of conversation changed. People began telling stories about distant lands, ancestors, spirits, strange hunts, and the origins of the world itself. Some stories made the entire camp burst into laughter beneath the darkness. Others left people silently staring into the flames, as if searching for something deeper than life itself. Wiesner believed that it was during those hours around the fire that human culture was born. The first campfire was not merely a source of warmth, it became humanity's first theater, first classroom, first religion. It was where humans first learned to think beyond the present moment, imagine things that did not yet exist, and connect with one another through something greater than survival, through meaning. But the strange part is this: the nights of ancient humans were not only about stories told beneath the firelight. There was something else that existed for hundreds of thousands of years, then almost vanished from modern life entirely. And science has only recently begun to rediscover it in the last few decades. Humans may never have been designed to sleep the way we do today. In 2001, historian Roger Ekirch published a study that completely changed the way scientists viewed sleep. After spending 16 years searching through ancient historical records, he discovered a strange detail appearing again and again across centuries: first sleep and second sleep. From medieval prayer books and court records to personal diaries and even passages from Homer's Odyssey, people in the past seemed to consider waking up in the middle of the night completely normal. Before the Industrial Age, humans typically slept for a few hours after sunset, then naturally woke up for 1 or 2 quiet hours in the middle of the night before falling asleep again until dawn. And what is fascinating is that they did not see this as insomnia. People used those silent hours to pray, write, reflect, interpret dreams, or even visit neighbors. Some physicians at the time believed this was the moment when the human mind was at its calmest and most peaceful state. Centuries later, psychiatrist Thomas Ware accidentally confirmed this ancient pattern through a simple experiment. When artificial light was completely removed from the lives of participants, their bodies naturally returned to the same ancient sleep rhythm, as if modern humans still carried a biological memory buried deep inside them, waiting quietly to reawaken. So what caused that ancient sleep state to almost disappear from modern life? The answer is surprisingly simple: light. For hundreds of thousands of years, night meant darkness, silence, and the fragile vulnerability of humans against the world outside. But slowly, everything began to change. Cities started installing street lamps. Candles became cheaper. Gas lamps illuminated the streets. Then electric light arrived, turning darkness into something humans could erase with a single touch. The strange thing is that most of us have never truly considered the cost of that transformation. For most of history, night was something humans genuinely feared. In many medieval European cities, walking outside after dark without carrying a lantern was considered suspicious, even illegal. The night belonged to predators, criminals, and supernatural forces beyond human control. But eventually, we conquered darkness with artificial light and unintentionally reshaped our own brains in the process. Today, most humans are exposed to artificial light for many hours after sunset. The blue light from phones, computers, and screens tricks the brain into believing it is still daytime. It delays melatonin production, disrupts the body's natural circadian rhythm, and slowly erases the quiet, reflective state that our ancestors once lived with for hundreds of thousands of years. We did not simply change the way we sleep. We may have lost an entire ancient state of human consciousness, Today, we call waking up in the middle of the night insomnia and treat it like a problem that needs to be fixed as quickly as possible. But what if your body is not malfunctioning at all? What if the moment you open your eyes at 2 in the morning, lying silently in the darkness, unable to fall back asleep, is not a disorder, but an ancient memory quietly returning? Perhaps the human body was never truly designed to sleep in one uninterrupted 8-hour block the way modern society assumes. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors lived within a completely different rhythm. They gathered around small fires beneath the night sky, telling the first stories that would eventually become the foundation of human civilization. They slept in 2 phases, with a peaceful period of wakefulness in between to reflect, pray, or simply lie beneath a sky overflowing with stars. Back then, the Milky Way was not something rare that required a long drive into the wilderness to see. It was simply the night sky humans lived beneath every evening. And perhaps the saddest part is this: we traded all of those experiences for artificial light, glowing screens in the middle of the night, and a world that never truly becomes dark anymore. Most of us do not even realize that we may have lost something deeply human along the way.